E estamos de volta para o segundo painel. Lembro que as perguntas que não foram respondidas anteriormente para o primeiro painel sobre condução serão respondidas via e-mail, portanto não desesperem que as respostas vão chegar aos destinatários. Vamos iniciar agora então o segundo painel, é sobre energia, onde a conversa irá incidir na gestão e utilização dos recursos energéticos globais, as perspectivas futuras de fontes de energia e os seus impactos na mobilidade, assim como as invenções que a indústria europeia está a patentear nas tecnologias de armazenamento de energia. Para fazer a introdução ao tema e se calhar também mostrar-nos que é possível fazer yoga dentro de um Nissan X-Trail, estará a Director of Advanced Product Strategy and Planning da Nissan Leaf, é a Clíodhna Lyons. Fazem também parte deste painel a Nicolas Tshann, é Product Marketing Manager da Nissan Leaf. Jorge Cruz Morais, Presidente da Associação Portuguesa da Energia, que está aqui comigo em estúdio, e Yann Ménière, Chief Economist of the European Patent Office. Mas começamos então pela Clíodhna Lyons, que nos vai falar em primeiro lugar. Hello, Clíodhna, good morning. The studio is yours.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me here this morning. So my name is Clíodhna Lyons. It is a tough one, I know. It's an Irish name that causes me problems everywhere I go.
I tried. I think I did.
And you did very well. You did very well.
Thank you.
I've heard a lot worse. And I'm the Director for Product Strategy and Planning for Africa, Middle East, India, Europe, and Oceania here at Nissan. Thank you for inviting me to participate. It's been a great event. I was listening to the previous panel and really enjoyed it. And I hope this one will be just as good with some good interactive questions.
I'm sure it will.
So let me begin by taking everyone back to physics class.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, it's not going to be a lecture on our laws of physics and a reminder of them. But there is one in particular I want to touch on this morning. Does anyone remember Newton's second law of motion? It's made famous, of course, by the Newton's cradle that I'm showing on the screen. It states that if a force acts on an object, it will cause an acceleration of that object. The law is a great example of cause and effect, in this case between force and motion. Every effect has a specific and predictable cause. Every cause has a specific or predictable effect. It means that everything we have in our lives right now is an effect, a result of a specific cause. Each and every decision we've made and every action that we've taken has set events into motion, creating predictable and specific effects that we are now experiencing in our lives. I mean, it's quite an incredible thing, especially when you think about everything that's going on in the world. As 2020, let me just make sure. Yep. As 2020 closed, countries all around the world counted the cost of the deadliest year of wildfires in history. Indeed, just in California alone, there were 10,000 wildfires last year. They burned down over 4 million acres of land. They resulted in over 30 deaths and destroyed more than 10,000 structures. The worst of all, of course, is that 2021 is predicted to be even worse. And as 2021 dawned, full of hope for most of us that the vaccine rollout would bring the COVID pandemic to a close, incredible sights came to us from the US, a mob storming the seat of US democracy, something we had never imagined seeing. They were fueled by conspiracy theories and encouraged by the claims of election stealing made by their own president. 5 people died that day and over 140 were injured. Brexit also came into effect in January, with long queues forming and paperwork at borders. But the impacts are going on, and even some of the lesser recognized impacts are happening. As an Irish person, I watched it all unfold since they voted to leave the European Union in 2016 with a mixture of interest and unease, fear, surprise. But all of those emotions actually have been replaced by sadness in recent weeks as I see the violence start up again in Ireland. by the British community that now feels cut off from the homeland. Petrol bombs and rocks have injured dozens of police officers, making us feel like we're stepping back to the 1980s rather than moving forward in our progressive world. And of course, how could I talk about the world right now without talking about that little virus that has brought us all to our knees? You might be familiar with the one I'm talking about. 12 months in, and COVID is still dominating our every thought, our every movement. As someone who has lived and worked in 5 European countries, the ideas of our borders closing seemed just impossible to me. But that's exactly what happened. It totally upended our lives. In short, our world is in chaos. We are in a period where the unthinkable is our everyday reality. And worse still, we need to ask ourselves, are these all the result of man-made causes? But what if the law of cause and effect is harnessed? What if it's leveraged? If we do that, then the actions we take now will allow us to write our future. The actions we take will allow us to define our tomorrow. Then what do we want that world to look like? When the world paused in early 2020 due to COVID, that was the burning question we all had on our minds. It was an unprecedented moment where, for a few weeks at least, we all seemed to focus on the same thing. What do we want our future world to be? Although the sound of birdsong and the amazing clean air was striking for us here at Nissan, it didn't actually make us fundamentally change our direction. You see, long before the COVID-19 crisis, at Nissan we had already defined our purpose to be drive innovation to enrich people's lives. This is our overarching guiding principle. This is the North Star we have in the company. It's an aspirational long-term view of the change we want to make in the world. For us at Nissan, it means getting everyone in the same direction, to follow the same dream and to share the same vision for a better world. And as we start to see the first signs that we're coming out of COVID, we expect more people to get behind us than ever before. And that's important, because by dreaming and working and moving as one, we can actually get closer to the real tangible change we all want to see in the world. So with the effect clear, here at Nissan, we set about defining the cause that would bring that change about. That cause, the tool we use to bring us to our goal of effecting change, is Nissan Intelligent Mobility. Nissan Intelligent Mobility describes the unique ways that we deliver on our purpose. It includes our hero technologies, our features, and benefits. Those technologies are unique to Nissan, and they align with the principles that underpin our company, allowing us to deliver on our purpose to enrich people's lives. Nissan Intelligent Mobility is the tool we have to cause the change in the world that we at Nissan want to see. So let's get into what it really means, Nissan Intelligent Mobility. How does it link to our desire to enrich people's lives? So let me start by describing a vision within it. Within Intelligent Mobility, we say it's moving people to a better world. Now, what does that mean? Let's split it in two to really have a look. The most important idea here is that we don't see ourselves being just in the automotive industry. We are in the mobility industry. If people were born to move, then we exist to move them. Now, all of this, of course, sounds lovely and inspiring, but it's more than just words on a page. As we soon understood, the better way for people to move was free of traditional combustion engines. We at Nissan quickly dedicated huge efforts and resources to developing. The result, of course, was the Nissan Leaf, the first mainstream 100% EV, almost a decade before the industry tried to catch up. Again, we saw that every aspect of people's lives was increasingly interconnected. We put our intelligence at the service of making sure that our cars not only meet but exceed these expectations, with a clear plan for delivery of state-of-the-art connected services. And if tomorrow, and related to the previous panel discussion, we see that a fully autonomous artificial, intelligent, driven mobility is the best way to help move people to a better world, then we will dedicate all of our energy to making this smart, safe, and accessible to everyone. It's not just about moving people from A to B, though. It goes beyond just being a commodity. When we talk about moving people to a better world, we mean a world that's more sustainable, where people have accessible means to live and consume more responsibly, minimizing their impact on the environment. A world that's safer, where people can move freely without risk or worry of harm to themselves or to their families. And a world that's more connected, where people can enjoy seamless and simplified interactions, not only with each other in the car, but within and between environments. A world that's ultimately more exciting, where technology combines with a deep human understanding to create intuitive, unforgettable, emotional experiences. This is our vision. But to get there, we need a tool, and we need that strategy. And that's where Nissan Intelligent Mobility comes in. And we have 3 pillars: intelligent driving, intelligent power, and intelligent integration. Let me focus on intelligent power. It's about creating the most efficient models possible with smart engineering like hybrid and electric drivetrain systems to minimize the environmental impact. It is the combination of our intelligent mobility vision and intelligent mobility strategy as a business that's our recipe for weathering the storm of the current chaos that we're in. That's the reason at Nissan that we've channeled all of our collective energy, our resources, our investments, and our 240,000 strong workforce for the past 5 years, and on which we continue to build our future. Here at Nissan, we know that we need to shift to electric powertrain technologies without compromising anything that our customers have come to expect from us. Our engineering centers in Japan and around the world have been working on this since the release of the groundbreaking Leaf over 10 years ago. But the urgency has changed in the last 5 years, and we've seen that the time is right to pick up the pace. Under the Nissan Intelligent Mobility strategy, we offer multiple world-class electric powertrain technologies within intelligent power. We give clean, sustainable mobility to all, with zero compromise on range, convenience, or reliability. As seen in the game-changing Leaf, and will be seen in the revolutionary new Ariya, intelligent power is accelerating our move to a zero-emissions future. But it's not just our ambition for cleaner air. Our electric powertrains are also a gateway to an amazing driving performance, with instant torque, incredible acceleration, and unprecedented levels of control. We know our customers are adventurers, and we've always prided ourselves in giving them everyday excitement. Through groundbreaking hero technologies like e-pedal and e-power, intelligent power will allow Nissan to put the excitement of state-of-the-art technologies into the hands of adventurers everywhere. And at Nissan, we've taken our innovations in intelligent power one step further. Whether on the track as the first Japanese entrant into Formula E or on the roads with our amazing new Ariya, through intelligent power, we're continuing our legacy and indeed reinventing performance innovation for the new era. The exponential advances in 100% electric performance and hero technologies such as e-Force mean that efficiency and sustainability are now the gateway to the ultimate driving experience. The reality is that everyone inside and outside this industry is placing huge, expensive, company-defining bets on where the world is going, and with it, where we should be going next. At Nissan, we don't want to simply put bets on the future. We want to write the future. As Lincoln said in the past, the best way to predict the future is to create it. And that's what we want to do at Nissan, challenging the status quo every step of the way. And that's why 50% of our car sales in Europe will be electrified by the end of 2023. This is the first effect of that shift that we started as a company many, many years ago. That shift to enrich people's lives, to move people to a better world. These are the first steps of our journey towards a cleaner, greener product lineup. We're confident that our hero technologies under Nissan Intelligent Power will excite our customers to join us as we move forward towards our North Star. By 2023, 50% of our customers will have joined us on the journey. And that's just the beginning. We're ambitious in our goal, and we know that our journey to a better world requires us to move quickly. The real tangible change in the world that we at Nissan wants to see means we need to be agile. And we know that this is what our European customers are looking and expecting from us. With this in mind, by the beginning of 2024, 100% of our passenger car models in Europe will be offered with an electrified version. And as we move towards the end of the decade, we continue to stretch ourselves, with 100% of the cars that we sell in Europe totally electrified. Again, responding to what we believe the European customer wants from Nissan. Newton's law of cause and effect. The actions that we take today will define our tomorrow. At Nissan, our purpose is to drive innovation to enrich people's lives. That's our anchoring principle, our North Star. As I previously explained, it's the aspirational long-term view that we want to make in the world, of the change we want to make in the world. In Nissan, we follow the same dream and we share the same vision for a better world. And we're working hard via Nissan Intelligent Mobility to make it happen. We know that European society is ready for that journey too, and together we're on the path for real, tangible change. But the path that we're on is just the beginning for us here at Nissan. Because as you remember, I mentioned all over the world last year, people collectively asked what the future of our planet should look like. And we were asking ourselves that too at Nissan. We'll continue to use our Nissan Intelligent Mobility vision and strategy to push the boundaries of what's achievable in the future. And that's why we've been confident and bold enough recently to announce our goals for carbon neutrality in 2050. Our commitment to enrich people's lives by moving to a better world is unshakable. Thank you.
Thank you, Clíodhna. Hope I got it right again. Thank you for the very nice presentation. And if you ever wonder, changing careers, I think you would be a very good news reporter. Because that first segment of your presentation, I thought I was watching the news, and it was very good. You were very good at it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bom, vamos continuar aqui então. Next on our Fórum da Mobilidade Inteligente está Nicolas Tshann. Ele é Product Marketing Manager da Nissan Amio. Hello, Nicolas. It's up to you now.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nicolas Tshann. I'm the Marketing Director for Qashqai and X-Trail in Amio, which stands basically from here down to Australia. So I have the pleasure of being with you today because we are just about to launch the new Qashqai and the new X-Trails. X-Trail was announced yesterday. Very proud of that. And they will both be launched with a brand new technology for Western Europe, which is called e-Power. So I'm going to give you a bit of a quick insight on why e-Power and how we see it moving forward. So my next slide is, we believe e-Power, and I wrote that, is the perfect transition technology between ICE and EV. And I hope at the end of my presentation you can buy into that as well. Moving on, global trends. This is what Clíodhna just described. Basically, it's a complicated world out there, right? We've got climate change. We're looking at the wildfires out there. We've got reduction in fossil fuel dependence. We've got emission standards everywhere, incredible norms, especially for Western Europe, ahead of the rest of the world. Urbanization, battery tech is moving very fast. We've got a shift in consumer mindset. We've just seen, with COVID, basically electrified cars have taken over ICE in quite a few countries already, and it's just increasing faster and faster every day. The ban of non-electric cars in the city centers, I was looking at Madrid, London, Paris, they're all out there, right? You just name it and they're out there, and there is a fight for ICE or fight against ICE coming up. And finally, digitalization. So when we combine everything, well, basically, looking at it, the tightening CO2 targets, Europe, you can see the 73 grams down there, 79 grams, is going to be tougher than US and then China, right? And then we see ICE technology banning in quite a few countries in the background. China, 2040, France, 2030, Germany, 2030. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but you get the message, right? It's going to be tough times. So we are going to need collectively transition technologies, right? The world is not going to move from zero to hero just overnight. So here we are, overview of technology landscape, vehicles increasing EV availability across the globe. Basically, battery capacity are going up very, very fast. 500 kilometers used to be extraordinary 3 or 4 years ago in terms of range. 500 kilometers a day is almost the norm in a lot of the cars that are available on the EV market when you're getting to a significant size. Charging infrastructures, they're an opportunity and a threat at the same time. I was in Hong Kong until a couple of months ago. Tesla was the number one brand, and people were queuing at 5 a.m. to be able to charge their Tesla because there was not enough infrastructure versus the car park. And this is clearly a limiting factor today. And finally, the society is changing, as we just mentioned, accelerated by the COVID effect. People are probably seeing their gardens a lot more. They're seeing the impacts of global warming, and there's a high level of concern over that. So moving on, well, basically, as Cleo was just mentioning it, we see Europe moving to a majority of EV not before 2030, 2035, which means there will be some very strong need for transition technologies, right? And these transition technologies are not only going to be one. So the one I'm going to show you today, which is e-Power, is one of the core ones we believe at the Nissan Group is going to deliver on the customer needs. Okay, so our strategy, here we go. The infrastructure. As I just mentioned, Hong Kong is not only going to be one country out there, which is going to be the one where you don't have charging infrastructure. We know already right now, if we were to move to 30 to 40% electrification, fully electrified, I mean EV cars, full EVs, there would not be an infrastructure in the background to support the need, right? Not everybody has a house with a parking lot where you can actually plug into the wall. So that is one key limiting factor. Second point, time. The charging times are still quite long. Not everybody can afford today or has the amount of spend available to afford super fast charging infrastructure, right? And the charging infrastructure is very limited, which means that the majority of the people who will be charging their cars will be charging them over slow wall-based home systems, or in very faster units, but in very limited numbers. So here, again, a second barrier to mass market EV just for tomorrow morning. Yes, it's coming, but it's going to take time. Complexity, well, until very recently, there were like 3 different charging units, AC, DC, CHAdeMO, something else, you name it. It was non-harmonized, which just adds more complexity to the background. Access constraints. So here they've got multiple private subscription systems versus the free ones in the cities and all the rest. Where can I charge? Which is going to cost me less? Again, complexity in the system. Finally, cost, the initial cost of the vehicles today. We're talking between 11,000 and 15,000 euros surcharge versus standard car. It's not something which is sustainable without government incentives. And with the COVID crisis, as mentioned by Cleo, we're in a very difficult environment right now. Will the governments be able to sustain that level of incentive over the near future? We already see some of the governments backing out of massive incentives for this. So when you put all this together, the transition technology is a must. The question is, how are we going to answer that need? Well, basically, our answer to that is the following. We're going to use e-Power as a directional replacement for our ICE engines, right? So basically that whole upper part of the market up there, we are thinking is going to move to e-Power for us in terms of our lineup. And why is e-Power the answer? Well, we think e-Power is going to be the answer because several reasons. A, you get all the benefits of EV driving. It's an EV platform. B, it's part of our strategy, right? As just developed by Cleo, we want to have 50% of our sales in Europe electrified by 2023. I'm just reusing your slide there. On our 4 core models, which are Juke, Qashqai, X-Trail, and Aria, we're looking at 80% electrification. And inside those 80% of electrification, we've got 50% e-Power. So the big powertrain coming up for Nissan in Europe in the next 4 to 5 years is going to be e-Power for us because, and that's what I'm going to explain, it answers that customer need for a financially affordable technology moving towards the future, which has no strings attached. No strings attached means you don't need to plug it into the wall because the infrastructure just isn't there. Okay? So, moving on, Qashqai electrified journey. As an example, I'm going to use Qashqai. Obviously, I know that one really well. We're going into mild hybrid first, and then very quickly, basically early next year, we're moving into e-Power. E-Power is forecasted to be our main replacement engine, right? So it's going to be more than 60% of our mix. We're looking at it as a core replacement for high output petrols, for hybrids, and for diesel powertrains. So we've got a huge amount of people moving out of diesel. They need an electrified solution. 48 volt is not going to be able to do everything. They're going to be looking for something which is fun to drive, high output, but at the same time very fuel efficient. And this is where e-power comes in, because the affordability of the technology makes it viable for the masses. So innovation first, we think we'll be the only ones out there to have it. It's a fully electric platform on which we will put a limited quantity of battery, which is going to be charge, discharge. And that battery is going to be fueled in the background, as you will see in the video that's upcoming, by an ICE engine, a latest high-tech. It's a variable compression ratio engine. We are the only ones to produce this today on Earth, as you may know, in the Infiniti QX50 in the US, Middle East, and China. We already have this technology available. We are bringing it to Europe to support our charge-discharge of our e-power batteries, okay? Excitement, you basically have an EV platform, so you get EV driving sensations, you get the initial torque, that thrill of acceleration from red light to red light. So basically, overall, it's very exciting to drive, like an EV is. And then the third one is accessible technology. Because the amount of battery is not huge, you don't have 200 kilograms of battery within the car. You will see that it's a limited battery pack. It stays affordable. So the future of transitioning needs to be fuel efficient, fun, and affordable, and that's all that e-power actually delivers on. So, and this is almost my last slide. When you look at pricing in the market today, mild hybrids have put the prices up by 500. You look at diesel Euro 6 full, you're talking 2,000, 2,500. Hybrids, they're around 3,000 euros. And that's 80% of today's market. Whatever way we look at it, people's buying power has not gone up by 50% to buy a plug-in or an EV yet, unless they have government incentives. Okay? So where we need to be is we need to be in the core of the market, that 2,500 to 3,000 euro bracket, where people are going to be buying cars tomorrow. And we need to bring electrification to them, and we need to bring fun to drive. This is what we are planning to do, aligned with the strategy that Clio just developed for us. So, as just explained, e-power is going to be fun, it's going to be affordable, and it's going to be fully electrified to deliver maximum CO2 benefit, which is our end goal at the end of the day. So it is for us the perfect transition technology, because it solves the paradigm shift between fuel economy and fun to drive. You don't have to choose anymore. You can get both in one package at an affordable price. There you go. Now a quick e-power video for us to enjoy. I'll give you a bit more insight on the technology. So just to summarize, the electric engine is now the master, the ICE engine is the slave. It's the opposite of a hybrid. E-Power is a further step in towards electrification, and we're very proud to bring it to the market in Western Europe. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Nicolas, for your exciting presentation, and thank you for passing on to us that excitement that you feel about this e-Power. I'm really looking forward to driving it. I would say that you're the human e-Power here in this forum. So let's stay with us. We'll have some questions for you later on. Agora aqui em estúdio passo a palavra ao Jorge Cruz Morais. Ele é presidente da Associação Portuguesa da Energia. Olá, Jorge.
Olá, Pedro Vieira.
Tudo bem?
Bom dia.
Bem-vindo. E o que é que nos conta hoje?
Bem, e vos falar um bocadinho uma visão integrada entre os dois setores, o setor da energia e o setor da mobilidade. Deixem-me começar por vos dar... por vos dizer que eu acho que o setor da mobilidade e o setor da energia estão os dois a viver um período de mudança que não tem precedentes na história recente e mesmo na história dos setores. Ambos os setores começaram no início do século, final do século XIX, na verdade, mas digamos no início do século XX, e ao longo do século XX houve muitas alterações no setor, muitas evoluções no setor, por causa da própria evolução social, por causa da evolução tecnológica. Houve um conjunto de evoluções, mas que não mudaram a estrutura do setor. Basicamente, os setores são a mesma coisa, apesar de ter havido grandes passos no setor energético. Por exemplo, vou recordar as centrais nucleares, foi uma mudança fantástica nos anos 40 ou nos anos 50, ou as centrais de ciclo combinado, que permitiram alcançar rendimentos na produção de energia da ordem dos 60%, quando antes estávamos nos 37, 38% nas centrais térmicas clássicas. E, portanto, foram evoluções muito grandes, bem como nas redes também. O aumento das tensões das redes, das capacidades de transporte, tudo isso fez evoluir imenso o setor, mas sempre com a mesma estrutura desse setor.
Até agora, não é?
Até agora. Mas já agora, também o setor da mobilidade, no fundo, teve muito mais mudanças, até porque houve o desenvolvimento todo da aviação, o desenvolvimento dos TGVs, etc. Mas também a base foi basicamente
sempre a mesma.
Até que nos finais do ano 2000, o mundo muda significativamente. E há profundas mudanças no setor no início do século XXI, motivadas, como todos sabemos, porque é o tema do dia, que são as alterações climáticas. E eu gosto sempre de contar uma história destas para ver como o tema é relativamente recente. Na verdade, todos nós achamos que faz tão parte do nosso dia-a-dia as questões das alterações climáticas, que nós achamos que isto é uma coisa que está integrada há muito tempo na nossa sociedade. E eu tive o privilégio de fazer parte, de organizar a privatização da EDP, a primeira fase da privatização da EDP, e nessa altura também tive o privilégio de fazer o roadshow da empresa. E o roadshow foi feito por toda a Europa e por todos os Estados Unidos, e contactámos cerca de 200 investidores, se bem me lembro. Quero acreditar, Pedro, que não houve uma pergunta sobre quais eram as emissões da EDP. E estávamos em 1997.
Ainda não havia essa preocupação?
Não havia minimamente a preocupação de saber sequer quais eram as emissões da EDP.
Incrível.
E, portanto, era um tema que não existia, embora que outros já tivesse existido em 1996, não era uma preocupação. E não foi durante os primeiros anos ainda deste século, até que começou a haver consciência que, de facto, a situação começava a ser insustentável. E eu gostava de lhes mostrar um bocadinho as razões, se o slide mudar.
Isso às vezes demora um bocadinho.
Aí está. Temos aqui, neste quadro, a evolução do consumo. São dados da Agência Internacional de Energia e estão expressos em milhares de milhões de toneladas equivalentes de petróleo. Mas o importante aqui apenas, basicamente, é dizer que os três grandes componentes da procura global de energia são combustíveis fósseis, como todos sabemos. É o carvão, é o petróleo, é o gás natural. E o consumo de energia global, que são 10 mil milhões de toneladas equivalentes de petróleo, este consumo global cresceu entre 2000 e 2018. Eu não fui buscar o ano 2020 por causa da pandemia, que pode afetar de forma diversa as questões. Cresceu cerca de 40%, ou seja, cerca de 4% ao ano.
Imenso.
Mais de 3%, muito perto dos 4% ao ano. O que é um crescimento verdadeiramente impressionante. Impressionante também, se eu
Andámos demais, não foi?
Slide anterior, se permitir, aqui está. São as emissões em milhões de toneladas de CO2. E temos uma evolução de 20, 23, 30, 33. Não param de crescer as emissões de CO2, que, como todos sabemos, são gases com efeito de estufa. O que é interessante aqui é perceber que a concentração de CO2 na atmosfera, antes do período industrial, portanto, antes do início do século XX, no século XIX, era de cerca de 280 partes por milhão. E nós acabámos de atingir os 410 partes por milhão, quando, de acordo com os cientistas climáticos, os 350 seria o valor
limite,
que permitiria...
O limite dos limites.
O limite dos limites. E neste momento estamos nos 410. O que significa que é absolutamente necessário evitar a continuação deste crescimento sob pena das alterações climáticas se tornarem irreversíveis e o impacto sobre o clima ter alguns efeitos daqueles que nós já sentimos hoje, mas extremados. Se conseguir mudar o slide...
Ele acaba sempre por mudar. Não é no timing que você quer.
Não é quando eu quero, mas vai lá.
Oi?
Ops, já foi demais.
Cá está.
Ora bem, qual é a solução então para tudo isto? Para tentar repor isto? Uma é tentar reduzir o crescimento dos consumos. O crescimento dos consumos não para de aumentar, como nós vimos. Não que a Europa, os Estados Unidos, o Japão não estejam já em fase de redução dos seus próprios consumos de energia.
Mas há aquelas economias emergentes.
Mas as economias emergentes, o maior crescimento vem da Índia. O maior consumidor é a China neste momento.
E não os podemos impedir de desenvolverem, como é óbvio.
Porque tem a ver com a economia. E falta juntar a tudo isto a África. Mas para vermos o ritmo de crescimento dos consumos, já agora, a China, no início deste século, no ano 2000, tinha cerca de metade do consumo dos Estados Unidos. E hoje tem muito mais consumo anual do que os Estados Unidos da América. E, portanto, estamos a falar de uma escala absolutamente brutal que tem vindo a ocorrer. E, portanto, há que limitar o crescimento dos consumos. Como? Sendo mais eficiente. Não há outra maneira. E para ser mais eficiente é necessário eletrificar. Porque a eletrificação permite aumentar a eficiência dos consumos. As máquinas são mais eficientes que as máquinas térmicas, basicamente. E, por outro lado, tentar a descarbonização do setor. Fazer a substituição de forma que consigamos descarbonizar o setor. Daquele consumo que eu tinha dito, que eu tinha referido, dos 10 mil megatoneladas de petróleo, isto são números muito, muito redondos e fáceis de fixar. A indústria tem 2,9, os transportes 2,9, os edifícios, cidades, 3,1. Isto significa o quê? Significa que 30% do consumo é da indústria, 30% é do transporte, 30% é dos edifícios. É fácil de fixar desta forma. E se formos um bocadinho mais fundo no setor dos transportes, que é o que nos traz aqui, e estes foram números que eu fui arranjando em vários sítios, os veículos de transporte de passageiros normais representam 50% da energia, o transporte de mercadorias cerca de 30%, a aviação 10% e o shipping e os barcos outros 10%. Ainda existem os comboios, etc., mas são números relativamente menos...
Isto é necessidade de energia, não é?
Necessidade de energia. O que significa que só os veículos, como são 50% dos 30% que representam os transportes em energia, estamos a falar de 15% do global da energia e provavelmente um pouco menos do ponto de vista das emissões. O setor da mobilidade tem um caráter especial, é que tem um impacto muito significativo, é daqueles que se consegue fazer, em minha opinião, com alguma facilidade, entre aspas, e afeta globalmente todo o globo, toda a Terra. Porque em toda a gente existe aviação, em todo o lado existe shipping e em todo o lado existem automóveis para as pessoas se deslocarem. E, portanto, a eletrificação é rainha e ela pode ser feita basicamente de duas maneiras. Ou através das baterias ou através das células de combustível. Acontece, nas baterias, há um problema fundamental que é a questão da autonomia, que tem vindo a ser resolvido. Obviamente que todos nós reconhecemos que hoje em dia a capacidade dos automóveis é muito maior, Tem de ser resolvido, obviamente, o problema do acesso, mas as próprias empresas elétricas o irão fazer, os próprios utilities os irão fazer. E vamos ter acesso fácil ao carregamento das baterias. Mas óbvio que as baterias, para longas distâncias de transportes de mercadorias, pode não ser suficiente. E aí, obviamente, que o tema pode vir a ser o hidrogénio. O hidrogénio com a fuel cell. Eu pus aqui alguns números só para as pessoas terem esta noção. Para fazer 1 kg de hidrogénio, eu preciso de 55 kWh, que permitem a um veículo com fuel cell ter uma autonomia de cerca de 90 km. Portanto, é muito menos eficiente do que são as baterias. Porque no seu carro elétrico consegue fazer 100 km com 20 e tal kWh, ou com 20 kWh, e aqui necessita
55.
pelo menos de 55, fora outras perdas ainda que existem. Portanto, o hidrogénio tem ainda uma outra capacidade que é, como combustível, ele atinge altíssimas temperaturas. E quando se faz a combustão do hidrogénio no seio do oxigênio, no seio do ar, o que resulta é apenas água. Portanto, é zero de poluição. E o que se consegue é que, de alguma forma, o hidrogénio possa vir também nas indústrias que necessitam de calor, extremamente importante. E pode ser muito importante, naturalmente, para o shipping, para a aviação e para o transporte de mercadorias de longa distância. O que é que isto vai implicar? Que o setor elétrico produza esta eletricidade toda que lhes vão pedir. Como é que se pode fazer isto sem ter acesso ao carvão? E bem, porque só para as pessoas terem a noção, para produzir 1 kWh de eletricidade a partir de uma central de carvão, é necessário emite 1 kg de CO2. Se eu fizer numa central de ciclo combinado, já só emite 300 gramas de CO2. E por isso a decisão política em Portugal e em toda a Europa de ir fechando as centrais de carvão é uma decisão extremamente acertada. E consegue-se, portanto, melhorar muito, reduzindo as emissões com o carvão. Agora é preciso fazer energia. E como é que se faz essa energia?
Renováveis?
Com as renováveis. Mas as renováveis também têm o seu limite. Quer dizer, têm o seu limite, nomeadamente as de eólicas. Mas o sol, felizmente, em muitos países, existe e pode ser aproveitado. Obviamente que tem duas características associadas à volatilidade. Portanto, quer uma, quer outra com volatilidades diferentes, e o sol, em particular, o sol só existe durante uma parte do dia. Eu sei que me estou a alongar um bocadinho.
Mas está a ser interessante, mas está a valer a pena.
E por isso, muito obrigado. E por isso vou tentar apressar e fechar. Dizendo apenas o quê? Que o desenvolvimento das renováveis, nomeadamente a solar e o vento no mar, são as alternativas que nós dispomos no momento. Toda a gente fala da fusão nuclear. A fusão nuclear tem a vantagem de não emitir radioatividade, de não não gerar reações em cadeia, e portanto aquilo que aconteceu em Chernobyl ou no Japão ou Fukushima não poderá acontecer, mas é uma coisa que está sempre a 30 anos de distância. E vamos ter provavelmente de esperar mais 30 anos até que ela possa efetivamente acontecer.
Não podemos esperar 30 anos, não é?
E não podemos esperar 30 anos. Portanto, as soluções são basicamente, neste momento, o desenvolvimento das energias renováveis, é isso que estamos a fazer. E a outra é a digitalização, que é absolutamente necessária para lidar com o aumento da complexidade da gestão dos sistemas elétricos e mesmo dos sistemas automóveis. Porque a questão é como é que se consegue gerir geração distribuída, que antes estava centralizada e que só fluía num sentido, e que agora flui nos dois sentidos, e que é preciso gerir sem ter sistemas capazes de o fazer. E, obviamente, tudo isto vai implicar também uma nova relação com os próprios clientes, com atividades de gestão de energia, de gestão de eficiência energética dentro das próprias casas das pessoas, e isso naturalmente precisa de tratamento, de capacidade de tratamento de dados. Por isso eu passava já diretamente a algumas conclusões, se isto me permitir. E as 4 conclusões que eu tirava são: a mobilidade, o setor da mobilidade e o setor da energia estão envolvidos num desafio e partilham, de facto, objetivos comuns. Estas mudanças são mudanças estruturais que vão impactar nas indústrias e que vão fazer com que apareçam novos operadores e novas necessidades. E esta é a última conclusão que eu tiro. Em todas as revoluções como estas, há mudanças de processos, mas abrem-se novas oportunidades, quer para os incumbentes, mas também para novos entrantes no setor. E por isso eu julgo que são tempos desafiantes, de muito desafio, quer para o setor da mobilidade, quer para o setor da energia.
E há aí um brilhozinho nos olhos, há muita vontade de descobrir e de fazer, não é?
Há muitas coisas muito interessantes que se podem vir a fazer.
Muito obrigado, Jorge. Vamos avançar, até porque o Yann tem os minutos contados, ele daqui a pouco vai ter que sair. Vamos para a sua apresentação. Ele é Chief Economist of the European Patent Office. Yann Ménière, bom dia.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me here. I'm very glad to participate in this panel. And my presentation is, I think, quite complementary to the previous one. Basically, I'm here to share with you some insights from a study that we published a few months ago on innovation in batteries and electricity storage. And as you can see, this study is a joint study with the International Energy Agency, precisely because the topic of electricity storage and the batteries in particular is of high interest for the International Energy Agency in the perspective of the energy transition and the electrification integration of a renewable energy in the grid. So what did we do in this study? So as the European, as a patent office for Europe, we are located at the forefront of technological change. We see innovations that are coming that are not yet in the market. And we have a strong expertise in searching that data and making that data speak. And this is why we feel it's important to track, to monitor major emerging trends and to document them for our users and for the general public. And definitely the rise of innovation in electricity storage and in particular in batteries is one of these trends in past years. So for this study, we identified all inventions that are subject to patent protection in at least 2 countries in the world, so what we call international patent families. And we counted more than 7,000 such families since 2000. And as you can see on the chart, their number increases very fast over time. Actually, the average growth rate for these inventions has been 50% every year, which is 4 times faster than the growth of patenting in other fields. And this is related to batteries mainly. Batteries account for the bulk of these patents. So batteries are driving the trend, and the increase of innovation in batteries is related to various uses, but definitely electric vehicles have played a pivotal role here. I will come back to that. But first, let me elaborate a bit on the scope of the study. So what are we looking at more precisely? So as I said, we are considering mainly electrochemical storage. So batteries represent the bulk of innovation in electricity storage. And most of innovation in batteries correspond to developments at the cell level, so enhancement in the cells, in particular lithium-ion. But if we look at the patents, we see that 50% of those patents related to cells are in fact related to manufacturing and engineering. And I think that's an important lesson of what happened in the past decade. Let's say the production of batteries has gone on a massive scale, has become really fully industrialized, which allowed a decrease of the cost of those batteries of 90% in the past 10 years for electric vehicles. This is really related to large-scale manufacturing, and a competitive advantage in that respect is related not only to the mastering of the technology, but to the mastering of its manufacturing. Another important lesson from counting the patents is that innovation in batteries has been very much focused, increasingly actually over time, on lithium and lithium-ion batteries, which now largely dominate the market. It's really the dominant paradigm, although there is still a lot of innovation within the field of lithium and lithium-ion batteries. And finally, using patent data, we are also able to look at other developments than at the cell level. And it's especially interesting to look at the battery packs, because it can inform us about the type of applications for which batteries are being developed. And this is my next slide, actually. When you look at these battery packs, you can identify 3 waves of innovation over time since 2000. The first wave is related to consumer electronics, in short. So phones, laptops, cameras, and so on, that are all equipped with batteries, and especially with lithium-ion batteries. But what you can see over time, and it's the light blue line, is that this field of use of batteries has been overpassed in recent years by automotive applications, and now really it's automotive that is driving the trend, and it's increasing extremely fast. So now the momentum of innovation in batteries is clearly driven by automotive. And if you look at the light gray line, you also see a third wave coming. So it's just a start at the moment, but in terms of needs, of demand, it will be as important as electric vehicles. It's a stationary application. So basically applications of batteries to balance the grid, to integrate renewable energy that is by definition intermittent and needs to be stored. A last remark on this slide is that you have strong spillover effects between these three types of applications. So batteries for electric vehicles have benefited from developments of batteries for consumer electronics. And you can likewise expect synergies and spillovers between batteries applications for electric vehicles and batteries applications for storage. And by the way, it was said already, batteries for vehicles can be used also for grid storage in the future. A quick word on the origins of these patents. It's very clear from this chart, actually, there's a clear domination by Japan in this field. So Japanese applicants were already ahead at the beginning of the century, but they have increased their lead and now are largely ahead. And then you have behind a pack of the other main world regions, Europe, the US, Korea, and China, that are very close to each other in terms of number of patents. But if you look more closely, you see that Korea and China have been increasing very fast in recent years, so faster than Europe and US. It's also interesting to look at the top applicants. And in fact, if you look at the top 10, you have two Korean companies and 7 Japanese companies, including Nissan. So it's a confirmation of the lead of the Japanese industries in that field. And it's also interesting to see that you have some, in the top 5 that you have here, you have some consumer electronics companies that have also extended now to electric vehicles. So I mean Samsung, Panasonic, and you have increasingly new entrants that are companies from the automotive sector. Here you have Toyota and Bosch very, very clearly, as well as Nissan, of course, or Toyota that are a bit lower in the top 10 ranking. A last observation, given the time I have, is about the future, actually. So, as I said at the beginning, with patent information, we can have a window into future technologies that have not reached the market yet, and this is one of the reasons why we do these studies. And we see clearly in the patent data that there's a lot of innovation going on in the chemistry of batteries, especially of lithium-ion batteries, with the anode cathodes, but also the electrolyte. And I would like to highlight the electrolyte to conclude this presentation. So we see a very fast increase of patenting related to solid-state batteries, which will hit the market in the coming years for sure. And in 2018, they represented nearly 10% of all innovation related to batteries. So to lithium-ion batteries. So that's quite high and still increasing. And if you look at the geographical origins of these patents related to solid state, as compared with patents related to any type of lithium-ion technologies, you see more of the pattern that we see in general. So a very strong domination of Japanese applicants. They represent more than half of all patent applications related to solid-state batteries, but also a lower share of Korea and a slightly lower share of the United States. And worryingly, Europe does not seem to be present in terms of control of the intellectual property related to this major next forthcoming technologies of the world of lithium-ion batteries. So these are the main insights that I wanted to share you today. And I will be pleased, of course, to take your questions by email if needed. And I would also like to mention that we are going in 1 week to publish a next study on clean innovation in clean energy in general, again with International Energy Agency, highlighting the role of electric vehicles in the field of energy. And I invite you to consult our website next week if you're interested. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yann, for your presentation and for that warning about that new study that's coming up. We'll be looking forward to seeing it also. And we know you have to leave sooner than the rest of everybody. And we're going to proceed to the questions that are reaching us from our platform. And we are hoping to do the first questions to you as soon as they come here. So let's see if we have questions for Yann. Yes, we have. And the first question, I will say it in Portuguese because you have a translator on your ear. I hope so. A pergunta é: qual é a patente que ainda falta desenvolver para um futuro perfeito das tecnologias de armazenamento?
Okay. Well, that's not an easy question. Actually, this is the question that the IEA would like, for which the IEA would like to have the answer. So, what I can say is that an important message of the study is that today lithium-ion is dominant. Lithium-ion is definitely fit for electric vehicles and for consumer electronics. But the key for the coming years will also be to have appropriate battery technologies for the grid, for a large-scale stationary storage. And there, it's not sure that lithium-ion is the solution. And you may as well have solutions related to redox flow batteries, for instance, or metal air batteries. So the options are open in that respect, and it's very important to keep that in mind, especially for investors. There is no one dominant pattern for the battery world in the coming year, if we take into account the needs of the grid.
A couple of more questions for you, Yann, and then I will let you go. The first one: how do you foresee the next 10 to 20 years will be in terms of development? Will we watch one of the biggest changes in history of mankind until 2050?
It's not an easy question. Well, if we take it from the perspective of the energy transition, yes, we can expect major technology changes in the structure of the economy with this shift to electrification virtually in all sectors, all those that can be electrified with batteries, and as a later stage with hydrogen, for instance, as this was mentioned. And this is combined with the digital revolution that is ongoing. So definitely the technology landscape is going to change massively, deeply in the coming years. And probably in terms of societal implications, the two main trends are indeed electrification and digitization.
Okay, one last question for you. If vehicles superseded consumer electronics, can we say that automotive industry is the main drive of innovation at this moment?
In terms of energy transition, yes, very clearly.
Okay, short answer, but a very good answer. Yann, I will let you go because I know you have another appointment at 5 minutes from now. So thank you very much for your time and continue your excellent work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yann. And now questions for Clíodhna. And the first question is, don't you think that the auto industry is still very lonely in this trip to decarbonization? Are the other industries not so worried about it?
It's chicken and egg. The auto industry is a little bit lonely, but because I think we are in everyone's home to start with. Mm-hmm. And also because, especially here in Europe, if you look at the last few years, we have been a little bit demonized, rightly so, because of some practices around heavy pollution and and the impact that has both on the environment and on public health. So I think there has been a greater awareness in general. And I think because it is an asset, the car is an asset that everybody has or a lot of people have access to. It is something that as society shifts and looks for a change, the first thing they want to see change is, well, what am I purchasing? What can I change in my habits to help shift to a better world? In that sense, the auto industry has come in for a little bit of pressure, early pressure, versus some of the other industries. Yes, we're alone, but it's a question of time. We cannot reach the climate goals we have as a society here in Europe or in other parts of the world without a much more pan-industrial approach to this. The auto industry, we're leading. In Europe, we're leading globally. We should be very proud of that fact. As a society, we're not accepting some of the things that we accepted in the past, and we should be, really incredibly proud of that stance we're taking. And I have full confidence that it's just a matter of time before the other industries step up and follow in.
Yeah, because it's important to pass the message that this energy change in the automobile industry is not going to solve everything. Because what I think is that people think that, okay, we're going to change to electric cars and the world is going to be better and it's all going to be fixed. But it's just a small part of it, isn't it?
It is just a small part of it. I mean, it's an important part of it. And I think Jorge's presentation showed that. I think it was 50% is coming from the auto industry. So it's extremely important that we change, and that's why we're taking leadership on it. But even when we look at solutions like hydrogen, which can be used across different industries, the question will be, when can we have green hydrogen available to us? And the EU is moving on it. There was a paper released last July from the EU on the roadmap, building a roadmap towards decarbonisation across different industries in the EU, and how the role that hydrogen will have to play in a carbon neutral society. Portugal's actually very well positioned, I believe, on that, and is in line to be a clean hydrogen exporter in the future. But other countries in Europe aren't there yet. So there's going to be two different shifts. There's going to be the shift to the technology when the solutions are available. That will have to happen. And in parallel to that, we need the governments to row in. We need government incentivizing the shift to the cleaner energy sources, because the willingness of the consumer is actually already there.
Yeah, Nicolas and Jorge, feel free to jump in at any time if you want to answer also and say something about what's being discussed. I have a question for Jorge. Jorge, já percebemos que a eletricidade será a energia dominante, mas como será produzida, digamos, daqui a 10 anos? É a pergunta que lhe fazem.
Pois isto, como não há milagres, como acabámos de dizer, vamos ter de nos exportar nas renováveis nos próximos 10 anos, e estou absolutamente certo disso.
Só nos próximos 10 anos?
Pelo menos nos próximos 10 anos. E há duas maneiras, ou através das eólicas, como referi, eventualmente, mas eu penso que o solar, que tem vindo a ter um enorme impulso, será a tecnologia dos próximos, pelo menos, dos próximos 10 anos. E temos de procurar outras coisas. Agora, o que me parece essencial foi, como lhe disse, foi substituir as centrais a carvão, porque são de longe as mais poluidoras. 3 vezes mais do que os outros.
Ainda temos muitas.
O setor elétrico em Portugal, deixe-me só dizer-lhe isto, o setor elétrico em Portugal consome cerca de 50 terawatt-horas por ano e emite 14 mil quilotoneladas de CO2. Se nós, ao fechar as duas centrais, que são 1.800 megawatts em Sines e Pego, conseguimos reduzir para cerca de 7 as emissões, substituindo a produção de Sines pelas centrais de ciclo combinado, que têm neste momento utilizações baixas. Portanto, é uma maneira rápida, no caso particular de Portugal, porque tem as centrais disponíveis em Portugal ou Espanha. Depois só um comentário já agora também ao que foi dito
claro que sim.
Relativamente ao hidrogênio.
É isso que nós queremos.
Eu tenho muita dificuldade também em imaginar, it's difficult for me to imagine as well, how hydrogen can be built or be available in a short period of time. We need a lot of energy to do it. It will take time to do it. And even Portugal, that is very well placed, doesn't have energy enough. We have 50 terawatt hours of consumption in Portugal. And 10 terawatt hours is good to a lot of things, but it's not good for the global Europe. Spain is 30, 50, whatever, terawatt hours. So it's very difficult to have available hydrogen in a short period of time. But anyway, I think it is the solution for some type of usage of energy. And one of them, of course, is aviation and shipping.
Ou seja, o Jorge já disse isso mais do que uma vez, para o consumidor normal seria uma energia elétrica, não é?
Sem dúvida.
E para a carga e para a aviação, o hidrogênio.
Enquanto as baterias não tiverem a autonomia e a densidade energética suficiente para o levar daqui, sem ter de estar não sei quantas horas à espera de carregar, se é que consegue não o fazer daqui para Paris, são 2.500 km, pois. Como é que faz isso?
Pois, aí percebo.
Portanto, temos aí um problema.
Muito bem, temos aqui também uma pergunta para o Nicolas. How much is the average and maximum efficiency of the ICE engine in the e-power platform and of the combined ICE and electrical motor?
So it is maximized in multiple ways, basically. So we're using an extremely efficient variable compression ratio engine, as I mentioned. So it basically helps you determine either you put it in the high compression mode, and in that case, you have maximum efficiency in terms of fuel economy, or you put it in the low compression mode. In that case, you get maximum torque out of it. So depending on your usage pattern and the battery need, right? Because the battery is the buffer in between the electric drivetrain and the charge demand on the driver's side, it helps us optimize in a much more efficient way versus a traditional, I would say, ICE engine platform where you don't have that capability of the battery of taking the load in the background in terms of managing what we would call the transient modes, which are the intermediate modes.
One thing I didn't understand well. Are we going to have an e-power engine just for the Qashqai, or are we going to have an e-power engine for all the models of Nissan cars?
So we're launching it on Qashqai and X-Trail. This is in public domain. And then, as Matt Weaver mentioned, I'm not entitled to divulge all the future plans of Nissan, but there are future plans. We're not coming in and being serious about the technology without having bigger plans than just Qashqai and X-Trail globally.
Yeah, I'm always trying to get some more information out of you, but I'm not being successful at it. Okay, I have more questions.
If I can just jump in.
Yeah, of course.
May I just jump in on that very quickly? Just to add to Nicolas' comment, I mean, Nissan, recently we announced a major breakthrough, actually. We can now achieve 50% brake thermal efficiency on the engine that we're using to power our e-power system. So it's versus an industry average of below 40%. So it's really an engine, as Nick has mentioned, that is absolutely optimized. And when running in these conditions, you know, is going to really be a game changer in the market.
Yeah, that's why I was asking if we're going to have it like on the Nissan Leaf, for instance. Silence is golden. Silence is golden. Almost slipped. We have more questions for Jorge here. Jorge, dentro das cidades há um enorme desperdício de biomassa. Seria essa fonte de energia a solução para hubs de carregamento para TVDs, por exemplo?
Eu vou-me referir só às grandes cidades onde isto faz sentido. Eu já explico porquê. Mas o lixo todo doméstico em Portugal, em Lisboa, teoricamente é separado. Não sei se a separação é muito efetiva ou não, mas de resto nenhum lixo vai para lixeira. Existe uma empresa chamada Valor Sul, que é uma central elétrica, que utiliza os resíduos urbanos, residenciais, que os queima como combustível para fazer eletricidade. E por isso aquilo que este nosso participante está a dizer já de facto existe. É tudo transformado em eletricidade. Provavelmente haverá depois umas cinzas e umas coisas que não queimam,
não servem.
Mas de resto a maioria é. E é assim em Lisboa e é assim no Porto. Não faz sentido ser numa cidade pequena de 20 ou 30 mil habitantes, porque o lixo não justifica a existência de uma central.
Exatamente. E pode ser canalizado esse lixo para uma cidade maior, não é?
Sim, mas o transporte de lixo é uma coisa também cara, como todos
sabemos.
Também.
E acaba por não compensar.
São ambos caros.
Não sei se temos aqui mais perguntas que possamos fazer em direto, se ainda temos tempo para mais uma pergunta ou outra ou não. Há aqui uma para o Nicolas, mas que eu já fiz, que perguntava também que modelos Nissan da gama atual já têm prevista a adoção da tecnologia e-Power. Por isso, se calhar, vamos dar por finalizado aqui o segundo painel, agradecendo mais uma vez a todos os participantes, os que enviaram perguntas e aos que estão aqui também em estúdio e nas suas casas ou nos seus escritórios, à Clíodhna, ao Nicolas, ao Jorge e ao Yann, que já nos deixou. Muito obrigado a todos e espero ver-vos então aqui também no próximo ano, presencialmente. Obrigado. Bye, Clíodhna. Bye, Nicolas. See you. Jorge, muito obrigado.
Obrigado, Pedro.
Voltamos já a seguir para o terceiro e último painel deste Fórum da Mobilidade Inteligente da Nissan.